that all-inclusive package may not be what you think it is. Hey everyone, it's Vanessa and welcome back to my channel. And in today's video, I'm revealing all the secrets the resorts may not want you to know, but you definitely should be aware of before booking that next all-inclusive vacay, from sneaky fees to over-promising. So come along as we jump into it all right now on Passport Pages. First up, the all-inclusive dining packages may not be priced for your benefit. So this may ruffle some feathers, but let me say one thing right off the bat. You have to always keep in mind, especially when you're on site enjoying your vacation, your all-inclusive dining plan is not free, which might seem obvious, but when you're enjoying a beautiful resort and don't have to open up your wallet for anything you're enjoying, we all tend to forget that fact in the moment. But in reality, it's a dining package that we prepaid for before arrival, and let's be honest, in many cases overpaid for when booking. So I urge you to please crunch the numbers, especially in times like these, and do the math to see if an all-inclusive package is financially beneficial for you, especially when there are many resorts out there that give guests the option of having an all-inclusive dining plan as an add-on. And another very important thing to remember, these resorts are looking out for themselves first and foremost, and they wouldn't offer these plans if they didn't greatly benefit financially from them. So more specifically, you have to work really hard to get your money's worth in food and drink to come out ahead if you book these packages. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's pretty difficult for most of us to get that bang for our buck. Now, you might be wondering why I, of all people, would be saying this when I essentially have an all-inclusive channel. And here's the truth. I love all-inclusives for the convenience. I'm one of those travelers that when I vacation, I don't want to have to worry about how much I'm spending and traveling with a bunch of cash and credit cards. I just love how all-inclusives give you a worry-free vacation. So if you're like me and that's the priority for you when on vacation, then yes, absolutely, all-inclusives are the best way to go. But if you're looking for the most financially beneficial way to travel, and I know that's a big concern for many people these days, then you might want to look at it more carefully before pulling the trigger on that all-inclusive booking. Now, this next one might seem obvious, but it actually fools a lot of guests, and that's the fact that you don't need to book a long stay. So many all-inclusive resorts use this marketing technique of how you can save money per night the longer you stay, but this isn't always true. This is definitely one of those things where you really need to read the fine print, because you may not need to book the advertised number of nights to get the discount. Most big-name all-inclusive resorts have at least 1 or 2 promotions running at any given time, and the most common one is usually a rate break if you book at least 5 or 7 nights. Those are usually the magic numbers, which vary by resort, and you'll commonly see this in commercials, and travel agents really push this as well. And most guests usually plan 4 or 5 night stays, but when you see that 5 or more commonly 7-night deal, you might be talked into springing for the extra couple of nights because you want the best deal, right? Well, you might be wrong, because in many cases, not always, but usually you can get those deals for fewer nights than the suggested booking. So always check what the actual terms of the deal are. Don't rely on others to do so for you, or be upfront about it, or even get persuaded by ads just because that's what they're telling you. Again, we're seeing a common theme here. They're going to do what's best for them financially, especially in advertising, and persuade you to book more nights than the minimum deal so that you'll go ahead and book that number of nights, which is a win for them, so they get a couple of extra nights from thousands of guests just due to a simple marketing tactic. So when you're pricing out your trip, be sure to read the small print and contingencies, and while you're at it, look at all discounts, because some may be less obvious and a bit more hidden on their sites. So carefully check them all out, because you could be missing out on a great room discount maybe even incentives to upgrade your room category. So definitely give yourself the chance to save more when you can. Potential opening dates. Many of us, myself included, get super excited when we hear a projected opening date for an all-inclusive and get our hopes up, and worse than that, plan accordingly, and then time after time get super disappointed when the timeline falls through for one reason or another and the resort opening gets delayed, sometimes by years. And so much can go wrong with the construction of these resorts, whether it's getting permission from local governments, all the way to disastrous hurricanes, since many of them are in major hurricane zones. So because of all these factors, thankfully, some of these bigger brands, not all, but some, have started being much more general about opening dates, usually just announcing a year, maybe a season as well, but even that has become more rare. And quite frankly, this isn't to be secretive and keep us in the dark, but rather just to cover themselves, as I'm sure they were getting a lot of grief over it from customers. I know this makes it a lot more frustrating for you guys as far as planning goes, but it's a lot worse if you plan a vacation around a resort opening that doesn't happen. So bear that in mind when I post my video for new all-inclusive resorts for 2022. It's more to update you on all the wonderful resorts coming in the future, but I wouldn't necessarily plan a booking until they officially open. And the added bonus of that is you get to read and see reviews on guest experiences, which is always good to know before you put out money for a trip. But I'm always tracking opening dates and will keep you guys posted as they happen. So yeah, that's why potential opening dates for resorts aren't reliable. Pretty much anything and everything can go wrong, especially with travel these days. Now, something else that resorts do not want you to know is how expensive it is to buy things on site. Like overly expensive, as in twice what you'd pay for the same thing back home. Now, most of us will buy a couple of souvenirs on vacation. We personally like collecting magnets everywhere we go. You just want something tangible to remind you of your stay. So yeah, you're gonna splurge for those things that you can only get in that location. That's different. But whatever you do not forget those vacation essentials like sunscreen, bug spray, toiletries, sunglasses. Anything like that will cost you an arm and a leg. And most bigger resorts, especially all-inclusives, will usually have at least one on-site store stocked with those things priced super high, counting on the fact that some guests will forget something essential and be desperate enough to pay whatever they ask. So don't be one of those people. If you're gonna spend extra money on an all-inclusive stay, spend it on unique souvenirs and fun activities, and make sure you bring all the vacation essentials from home. And my number one thing resorts do not want you to know about: hidden fees. And you guys know I'm always completely honest on my channel, but I actually just discovered some new fees a couple of weeks ago that I never knew about before. So even I am still getting shocked by all the potential resort fees that exist. I remember 5-6 years ago when we first started traveling a lot, people thought that $30, $40 a night was high, and now you can spend hundreds in fees. So it's a big deal, especially in today's world where we are all watching our money very carefully these days. Maybe I should do a video on all-inclusives that have lower fees. Let me know if that'd be helpful. So one of the main reasons that this is something they don't want you to know is just that. It's the one thing they don't tell you about. The advertised price they give you for your room never includes those fees, which usually means facilities fees, even though use of the facilities is supposed to be included in your all-inclusive rate. Some more specific examples. In the Caribbean, there are hotel taxes. The DR has a 10% service tax and 18% sales tax. Barbados and the Bahamas have the same fees as well, although slightly less, with a 7.5% sales tax and 10% service tax. Some Caribbean countries even add taxes onto restaurants, adding 7 to 15% to your meal. Well, it's an all-inclusive. Yeah, but that's being factored in. I've heard some guests who are frequent visitors of a specific resort call and argue the fees down or negotiate after the fact. I've personally never done it, but I know some people have had success with that. But I really don't think that's going to work these days like it maybe has in the past. So I just want to make you guys aware and encourage you to ask the resort directly beforehand so you can be prepared and make a more informed decision. So while we all wish resorts were a bit more transparent, we just have to do our homework to make sure we get the best possible vacation experience. And I hope to help you all with that as much as I can. I really appreciate you giving this video a thumbs up. And if you have any video ideas or reviews you'd like to see, be sure to drop me a note and I'll keep them in mind for the next year in travel, which I'm really excited about. This is Vanessa for Passport Pages. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you all very soon. Bye, everyone.